on this live, and I know it's going to be an explosive one, even in the audience. I'll try to get to everybody, but I can already tell it's very, very, very crowded in here. Before I even started, there was 33 people waiting. I figured there would be. I waited until after the daily close to come on today. We got a lot to talk about, though. We know the Bitcoin ETF approval was given by the SEC, so we'll go into that as well. But please make sure to hit that like button as we get into everything, pull everything up, and do the intro. I just want to say as well, we'll get into just what I want to say to the audience as well, because we've done a lot of good. So this is from CNN. We'll just go over this in a minute. But the SEC gives Bitcoin ETFs the green light. XRP bounced about 7% from our afternoon live, which we talked about the move to 62 cents in the short term. I don't think it was any surprise any of us would happen. It was a pretty cool thing earlier, how we were able to, at least from a technical standpoint, see it in the charts, how we were going to hit the support and then we're able to rally out of it. But let me just timestamp this very quickly, very, very quickly. And I do appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody in Tom's Army who pays it forward. And I want to go over PAXG as well today too, because I seen something interesting. I went through hundreds of charts and there were very few that were consolidating down instead of up in the time of the ETF approval. So I'm going to show you something with that it intrigued me. And for anybody who knows what PAXG is, I'm not talking about the gold. I'm talking about the crypto that makes money off of every transaction off the Ethereum network, basically converting Ethereum. So it's an interesting one that I watch because it's so large. And it's over $2,000 per token, to put it in perspective. But anyhow, that's something we'll look at today because I find it fascinating. That was one of the few that I could find that was actually dumping leading into the announcement. So if everything else pumps and then dumps, this could be one that dumped first and now it could pump through. So a few of them are interesting to me. I couldn't find very many, but this was one that I knew was more well known, so that at least when I show it, you guys will understand the difference between like maybe what XRP is doing right now and maybe what something like that's doing that may have took the dump route first to have a further on pump. And I'll show you what I wanted XRP to do, but it was very tricky for me to find something that did the opposite. Tanya, welcome in. UK Phil. Levi, welcome. Hey, Tom, my friend. My friend indeed, Levi, welcome in. I appreciate you. Tanya, love, I appreciate you being here. CJ2 Pilot, ATK, welcome in. Who Me with a huge donation, $49.99. Wow. Thanks for the live this afternoon. Very helpful. I appreciate that, Humi. I'm pretty sure, I know you're a futures trader, so hopefully you took that information and took that 7% move. Or at least even if it was a percent of the move. Jeffrey, a new moon dump incoming. I could totally see that. JW, welcome in. Who else is here? Michael, good afternoon. G-Man, welcome. John Patek, good evening. Jeff Regan, cheers, my friend. So let me just timestamp this very quickly. Good evening, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, January 10th, 2023. I'm XRP, son of a bitch, January 10th, 2024. I'm XRP future millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. And how could I not know? Michigan won the national title 2 days ago. And for my friends in Alabama, congratulations to Nick Saban on a beautiful career down there. 6 national titles, the best college football coach, period. I think, what did he win? 7 overall? It's either he won 6 with Alabama and 1 more with LSU, or it was 5 with Alabama and 6 total. I feel like he won 6 with Bama. So congratulations to Nick Saban, all the people in Alabama. I know it's a somber moment, but at least yours went out by way of retirement. Mine will probably go out by way of NFL. So, but anyhow, yes, go blue indeed. So, I did CJ2 Pilot, but I corrected myself. This time. I did correct myself. But before we get into this, just a quick note to anybody who's watching, who was here earlier, and who's been here participating over the last few weeks. I just want to commend each and every one of you, because it's not just me. We've been doing this together during the lives. The update's not so much together because I have to do the update by myself, but the lives we've been going through, and look what happened yesterday. We went through such a detailed look at Bitcoin that we basically understood that the approval was coming in the immediate short term. With XRP, what we did earlier on the live, for anybody who wasn't there, and you can watch it back, this isn't a joke. We went through this, and somebody asked me when they should go long, and it was up here. Where was it at? It was right. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was right here. They asked me when I was at 57.9, and I said, no, you wouldn't take the long out here, but you would look to take the long when it came back to the uptrending support of this formation, and then you would anticipate the breakout. It did not 10 minutes after I told it, it did exactly that. But our audience started adding little details like, okay, well, if it breaks out of this would be where it gets up to the retest of the bull flag. Beautiful. Like, I didn't have to say that. The audience knew that. So then I just showed them, yes. So then we came up and pushed the bull flag. That was the push to rejection. Now, that doesn't mean the pattern has to end, but what it means is even with the move back down here, that is not going to clear out much, but it's almost impossible to move up farther without even doing that small amount. That's why we got the immediate pullback. Now, what could have happened and what I wanted to happen and what I begged to happen, and basically only PaxG and a couple others, but the other ones were like 0.000 and some change. I had to find something with some substance, and that's over $2,000 a token. So even if it goes to 1930 while we're on the air, it's barely any kind of move, and we can still look at the same principle of the reversal that it's trying to make. As to where something that's 0.0006 and it has a big move down, it could change the whole direction, because it's weird the way people buy when something and sell it when it's expensive or when it looks like there's no value in it. XRP, the reversal candle in the 1 hourly is happening. And we're in the overbought now, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake about it. By taking the up route, we are absolutely in the overbought. Now, if we continue to come up here and finish off the move at 62 cents because we didn't quite hit it, then we're really going to be overbought. 4 hourly, I warned everybody how we would creep up in here right when it started looking good. It would start to not in the short time. Now, the daily is starting to break up as well, but not in the dramatic way of the 4 hourly or anything like that. It's just that everything could have lined up for an insane move. Now I just fear that we'll get this rejection and it's kind of like a right arm. And then it would have to come back to 53 anyhow, or possibly, I don't think it'll come all the way down there. But what I think it could do is retest this area. But this is looking like a possible V-shaped recovery here. And it looks like a hanging bull flag. And I don't know if 62 is going to be the dying point. I just think by going to 62, it tells us that even with the pullback to 57, roughly 57.8 or 58, then we could expect, I expect to move to 65 after, or 66 with what we've seen. That's what I expect. I expect it to retouch that rising channel resistance. I do. It's just, do I expect it to go past that? Probably not. Probably not. Do I expect it to break back up and go all the way to 82 cents unabated? Unfortunately, no, not with what it did. It took the rejection route. So I expect it could get back up in here, but that 67 cents on more fronts than one is going to be an issue. So I'm not exactly thrilled with the route it took to get here, because now we're going to be overbought once we get to where we need to go. It's almost like Santa getting to the North Pole and no snow being there and everything melted. There's no magic. Part of the Christmas spirit, you have to have snow. You can't have hell. You can't have fire and brimstone. You know, you can't do it. So, right now, that's basically what we're facing. Is Bitcoin a buy the rumor, sell the news? Well, I mean, the one good thing you have working for you is it did dump a little bit, but it's what I said before. If we wanted it to be a beautiful route, you would have taken the down route, not the rejection. We also wouldn't have expanded the pattern if it was meant to probably carry on through this. I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it did create into a broadening wedge here instead of a bull flag, and there's a reason it gave us that detail, like I've been saying the last 2 days. We are in overbought. Even in the daily, we snuck into overbought. The weekly is where you should be freaking the hell out. Look at Bitcoin in the weekly. Like, seriously, let's call it for what it is. Look at Bitcoin. It's up to 87. I think we could quickly push to 51. Or no, not 51. Where's that? 50. 53,298. That is what I would be anticipating. If it doesn't break down and we break this broadening wedge or the stationary wedge, whatever you want to call it, the wedge, and we're on top of 48,200 and holding, I anticipate the targeted move to complete at 53,298. You could get a higher push after that, but the technical move was up to 53. I don't know where the arrow went, but 53,168. That's the technical breakout. Once you got on top of this, if you hold that flag. Now, we understand that we created what looks like a broadening wedge, or not even a wedge or a broadening, but just a wedge that was formed. But this is still the breakout from this particular part of the pattern. So how can we tell? How do we tell here? Does it look like, let me just say, if you're a technical trader and you understood, I know most of you probably don't even look at the relative strength, the RSI, but if I told you the RSI in the weekly was at 87, that's not the 1 hourly, that's not the that's the weekly. And the weekly's done what this week? It's gone up. So in 4 days, that's going to go up even higher. We started the week technically on this candle. If you look at the bottom of the weekly, we started it at 42,768. In the weekly right now, we're at 46,529. Do we really think that Bitcoin can continue on this dominance, or do we think we might rotate here for a minute? Bitcoin dominance, we talked about very long and hard about this. It's got a little bit of room if it wants to come up, but once it gets to 57, if it gets up there, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. Even now, if it were to rotate down, it's a big problem. It's just if it comes down now, it has the chance to continue on. If it were to come to the 200-day, let's just say you see the dominance down at 51.20, better than not shot that it could still continue on just because it would clear out some room. You got to follow the relative strength of an asset. Weekly, it needs to take a break a little bit, but that's that. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin have a run for a few more days, especially with the Bitcoin ETF approval. This is the one that I've been watching. So the weekly is a little high for PAXG, but when you look at like the daily leading into it, most things were trying to come up in the last couple of days, and this kind of has shown a sense of going down. It was the opposite. It was like it was trying to find a path, especially in the shorter time. The shorter times today. I'm looking at some of them, and this was on the move down the whole day. And then I noticed in the 2 hourly all of a sudden here, and that's why I put this right here. It looked like in this recent 2 hourly, and there's about an hour and 40 minutes, it looked like it was trying to signal some kind of reversal here. So I'm trying to see something like this in comparison to something else that was just considerably running up. Like, what is going to happen? Is everything just going to roll over? Does it not matter if you can look how much is consolidated down the whole day? Does it not? Because you have to find out. We have to know. And this one is unbiased for all of us. This isn't anything we've ever covered. So you go from an unbiased analysis. And it makes me wonder, like, is this something that's universal in the market? Like, is there anything that can withstand it? Like, even if there was a dump down. What are you looking for, Julie? So, but if you have any relaxation, you might as well join us because Julie wants to relax. 136 people here. So, let me know what you guys think. Like, is there a trend starting? Because look at where this was at. This is what I mean with the Bitcoin ETF. Look at the 45. This was all the way down into oversold on the time, while other things are rising. I'm not saying that this is going to make any move. I'm saying if not even something that was dumping into it can make a rise out of it, I don't know what's going to survive it. Like, I think this is starting to reverse again, but like this had a death cross. Like, it's got a stationary support, but as anything, like if you look at XRP was not dumping going into it is my point. PAXG was dumping going into it. I need to know if something's going to, oh man, it's going to be rough. Because look at XRP going into it. XRP was in oversold areas now. It started out right when the approval happened. It's only been a few hours. We're already into oversold in the small time frames. So it's rounding the top. Right now, PAXG in the 45 is rounding the bottom on the announcement. So if you're telling me a short-term play here, yes, I love XRP, but there's other things that, for whatever reason, rotated down and now are rounding. Does that just mean they all drop? So in the next couple hours, I'm watching this very closely, and it's something that's at $2,000 an ounce. Or an ounce, $2,000 a token. I know when I talk about stuff that expensive, usually it's gold. So what is going on here? Like, this is giving us conflicting messages right now. It looks like half the market's going to go down, and then something like PAXG, which is deflationary towards an Ethereum gas fee, is going to go up. Like, if that's the case, if that goes up while the rest of our altcoins are still concerned, we might be going into an alt season. That's the bottom line. If PAXG starts to run up and everything else is going in consolidation, it might be telling us alt season is about to start. You need a deflationary token to lead the way, especially an Ethereum deflationary token. It literally makes its mark by converting gas fees. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. So what does everybody think? And I need more likes, ladies and gentlemen. 145 people watching, only 86 likes. I truly believe that this is worth every bit of what I'm doing here. I give you my time each and every day. We did have a $45 donation, but if you don't want to hit the like button, you can always send a YouTube super chat to circumvent it, or you can join Tom's Army to pay it forward. But literally, hitting that like button and sharing it is so, so important. So, so important. Julie knows how important it is, right, Julie? Mm-hmm. I feel passionate.
More people, you spread more information.
That's right. See? Julie said the more people help spread more information. UK Phil said hello, Julie. Hello. Rick says, yep, so you understand what I'm looking at, Rick. Sean, welcome in, my main man from Maine. Hopefully you're doing well out there. It's a beautiful day indeed. CJ2 Pilot says hello, Julie.
Hello.
First thing I do is smash the like as soon as I get here every time, buddy. Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate that. Wow, Bob, you know, that's my name. Bob, we don't have time for you. We don't want to scare the new people out of here. No, sorry. I think Bitcoin is almost maxed out. So do I. So where's the money going to flow? Where's the money going to flow? XLM, look at XLM overbought. That's what I mean. Half of these are already in the overbought, immediately following the approval. That's what I'm saying. I had a very, very, very hard time finding something. A very hard time finding something that was rotating the opposite way. So, I don't even know, though. Even with the opposite rotation, you see the difference, though. Can everybody see the difference? This is the difference. What is this? I'm there. A $19.99 donation. His first donation. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Somebody said money going to Ethereum. If money's going to Ethereum, expect PAXG to go up. And the reason I keep pointing to this, I actually love when I start to research stuff and then I amplify what I know, because I think I know what's about to happen here. And if it's going in that direction, I don't know if I'd say it's a stable coin. Well, I mean, it's PAXG. It's like everybody's going to consider it gold, but I don't consider it gold because it's like I don't even want to get through all of it, but I don't want to bore everybody. But man, if you go through and start reading it, it is fascinating, some of it. But I want to go over the Bitcoin ETF approval as well, what they're talking about. Is there anything else you want to look at real quickly on the charts? Tanya's here, so H bar is at 825, down 1.2%. What is this? Took away my fireplace. Another one. Look, I mean, almost across the board. Almost across the board. You can see that we're in the shorter time frames looking for a small correction here to start. I mean, even in the 2 hourly, we're getting towards overbought. 4 hourly. Every single thing is looking for a correction, it looks like. Look at that's almost a head and shoulders pattern here. Topping reverse. Remember what we were talking about earlier, Julie? Doesn't it look like it now? Remember how we said if it came up at the right arm, it could come down? This was one of them we talked about. So, Alex, I'm not a financial advisor to say sell or hold. I only you can make that decision. I'm personally not selling. I'm accumulating. And I've got stuff that's been bought. Some is 1.5x. You know, so I'm not in the market to sell right now, especially when I can get a 35% tax hit because it's still inside of a year. But yeah, on the weeklies is another problem. Look where everything's at on the weekly. Leading into it all, they're getting up in that overextended area. Now with H bar, it came down a little bit. It's already had the breakdown here in the weekly. So if it can hold the bullish cross down here a little bit lower, right around 668, well, then we're ball game. But like I've said before in the rising channel, if it got rejected, it just comes back down to the bottom. And that's exactly what everybody got to see play out within the exact same, just this weekly candle. But in the immediate short term, outside of the weeklies, we're going up for retest. We've had a death cross, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But if we get a rejection up here, it's going to be a problem. And in the shorter time frames, what I'm trying to suggest is we can only go so much higher here in the 1 to 4 hour range. Even in the daily, we're starting to get into a spot where it's not uncomfortable yet, but a couple more days like this, it'll get uncomfortable quickly. But for the daily to run, you're going to have to clear out probably if you have 2 or 3 good candles here. If you break out through here, which it probably will, that 9 cents, have to get above 9 cents. It's just then you start breaking it down, and the lower you go, the less room you have. So that's what we're looking at there. Yeah, you can trade them on the weekly. If you're trading them on the weekly, you've got to find your best buy-in, though. You're not going to find the best buy-in in the weekly. That would be the time to sell when you trade it in the weekly. But when you're trying to make the purchase, how are you purchasing it through the weekly? I prefer to look at it on a weekly standpoint when I'm making my. So basically, when I'm making my decision to get in, I like to see it on the daily, well, the weekly especially, like you're saying. But I like to see the weekly either trending on the way up and it's still got room to finish the move, or it's just rotating out of oversold or rotating through the bottom of oversold. I don't like them like where H bar is. This isn't where I'd be like, oh, I'm going to get into a long based on where it's at. You know, it's just, I'm already in a long on H bar because where it was at before in the weekly is where I thought it was more desirable. But like with XRP, in the weekly, we talked about this, why it was so desirable a couple weeks ago. Not even last week we talked about this. In the weekly RSI, it still had room to go. So it could have made it even, here, Julie. It could have made it even better. But we decided to take the up route. There's nothing wrong with that. Bitcoin, ironically, if you're looking at it from the weekly standpoint, I don't know of anybody who would look at that and say, oh, this is a good trade. Wow, Tom, special request, please look at Trollcoin. It just moved from 9 zeros and a 4 to 8. Holy crap. And thank you for the $49.99 donation. That was incredibly generous. Wow. I don't even know what this is. Does it look like a retest drop? So, I don't even know what the hell Trollcoin is. Tom's TA, the best in the crypto space. Thank you. Hey, Sam, thank you for the $9.99 donation. Wow, I wasn't expecting donations like today because really haven't done anything yet. But I greatly, 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 greatly appreciate it more than anybody could ever imagine. Lewis, welcome in, my friend. Kevin, we'll see what happens, but I'm already going through way too much stuff right now. It's already been 25 minutes, and we're not even covering the Bitcoin ETF approval here yet. Hey, Julie, I need a special made doll for my... Hey! With a $10 donation, what are you looking for, JW? I mean, trade him with J-Ride. She just walked out of the room, but I can certainly relay the message. Ronald, welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. So I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is, John. Unless it's like through wrapped Ethereum. Just wrote it up to 137 and made. Nice. Nice. I mean, the only thing I can think of is I don't even know what the hell this stuff is. But I got to get back on track here. We got to get back on track. Oh, okay. Julie, you got a request. Somebody wants Tom's Army thing. Are you talking about the one that looks like me? Yeah, the one that looks like yours. So, like, you're talking about... He said his lady needs one. This one?
Okay.
This one? Ah, fuck, John. I mean, if I don't see it on here, John, I'll have to look at another time. I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna find this at. But I gotta stay in the flow here, John. I'll look at it after. I'll look at it after. Yeah, but I want it to look like my lady. Oh! You want it to look like her.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. I mean, it took her a lot of time to do this, and I don't know. Send me my email. You know my email, strutrugali@gmail.com. strutrugali@gmail.com. And we'll see what we can do. XPR Proton. I would love her to cover all these. Yeah, I figured that wasn't the one. John. But I got to get back into this, guys. I got to get back into the rotation. I only got so long to do this. And I've only got so much stuff to do. And my voice is not exactly 100% today still from Michigan winning the title on Monday. But I'll try to do some research on that, John. Kevin, maybe, but I'm telling you guys, I've only got so much time, and I don't know if I have Polygon on here right now. I don't. I'm curious. I'm actually doing a case study right now that I was hoping to get some input on, but I haven't really got any input on it. So I wanted to know what everybody thought. Is everything just going to rotate down, or is there ones like this that would rotate up in the short term, or is it going to be a collective effort for the market to come through? That's all. That's really what I want to know today. Are these going to rotate up, or is the whole market going to rotate down no matter how far we were at any time frame here? Where was the better time frame that I could show this? Like here, that's what I mean. Like, are these going to rotate up at all and then get that firm rejection, even though it's behind? Like, okay, for example, would this come back up? Even if it comes back up, let's say it comes to 2017. With how, even in the longer time frames, you can see there could be room to the downside, but there's also a reversal side when it gets into the mid-tier. So all of these, whether it's the ones up top, the ones in the middle, the ones that are rotating at the bottom, if it's bearish, no matter what it does, even if it looks like it's going to come out, it's just going to rotate. Or are we going to get the cups that rotate? I mean, that's because if that's the case, even the ones that dumped first, consolidated out, waiting to the ETF, if those dump, what hope do you have for the ones that bounced up? They're just going to rotate down too because they've already bounced up. They're not going to even have any room. So, like, we need a collective... Because not everything goes down. Not everything goes down when others go down. But if even the stable like coins that are more expensive, that are more value to have a different type of purpose, even if they're going down, that means we have to pay very close attention to the rest of the market. Like Ethereum, if this one's going down, that would lead me to believe that Ethereum is probably not going to go anywhere. And it just took off my PAXG. Can you believe that? In real time. We're doing this, and I know everybody's seen that. This is what it does. This is what it does. And some could say I'm getting in my bag tonight just because when I get, my mind's expanded. Like, But even before I came on, my mind was running because I'm like, I know what happens if these type of tokens start to break down with the rest. There's something more to be seen that we're not seeing. I mean, it's not that we're not seeing it, but there's more information out here. If this breaks down, I know what's going to happen with the rest of the market. I can feel it. I can feel it. And this is on MEXC. This is on MEXC. This is the one I wanted to show. Look at the 45. This is basically when the rest of them were rotating to the top. This started rotating. So I'm like, okay. While Bitcoin, for example, let me go to Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure I put that on there. Okay, good. So Bitcoin, and I want to read this stuff about the ETF. Look where Bitcoin's at on the rotation, even in the 45. And when you see it, this is the danger here with Bitcoin. When you see, and I know it's a lot to take in, yada, yada, yada. I'm sorry, but look at the weekly. So now we're trying to build the shorter time frames to get up to where the weekly's at, so we know that it's about to break. Okay, so now the lower time frames are starting to catch up. So the weekly is way overbought. I mean, and after this weekly candle closes where it's at, remind you, the weekly candle started at the low was 42,000. It opened at 42,674.35. That's a problem. We're over 46, almost 47. So if the weekly wasn't bad now, what do you think it's going to look like when this weekly candle closes? Don't ask me if you should buy Bitcoin right now, because see, what? Okay, if you're watching me, don't ask if you should buy Bitcoin until we go through the analysis. Like, why would you? Don't ask that, please. I'm going to let you make a decision. I'm not a financial advisor. If you're asking me if you should buy Bitcoin, maybe, anyhow, W4, just keep listening. So this is the relative strength index. In the weekly, you just seen how overblown it is. Now in the daily, it's starting to catch up. That's what I'm saying. You're trying to see it catch up. So maybe one more rejection up here could be in order. Maybe not. But it looks like to me it's going to try to catch the weekly. So maybe it could come up a little bit. 4 hourly, same thing. Looks like there's a little more room if this move's going to exacerbate itself. It's going to come up a little higher. It's already given us the line in the sand like 88, 87, 89 area in the RSI. So now you go to the 3 hour. The 3 hour made a bullish cross here. So again, it looks like it's going to give us that initial satisfaction of, a Bitcoin ETF has been approved. Oh my God, everybody. Oh my God, everything's pumping. Bitcoin up to 53 maybe. The 2 hourly, same thing. It's got more room the lower you go on these time frames. This is kind of like what I like to say. They're pulling the wool over your eyes right now. When the weekly is so overstated and overblown, and you start looking at the lower time frame starting to creep up, once it catches it, which probably would be around 53, 52, 53, it's time to go. It's going to tank after. This move's not done yet. Look at the lower time frames. It can't be. The hourly, we're trying to stabilize. Dragonfly doji in disguise as like a bearish doji right now, but it's not. In the hourly 30-minute, I mean, look at this. It's literally speaking to what we're saying. It's working its way into a catastrophic moment up there where it catches the weekly. I wouldn't be surprised if for the next 3 days this runs up. So that's not even a pump, it's a joke. No, see, and literally, if it goes up 10%, it pumped. That's a pump. Anything in life, if something moves 10%, it's pumping. If it goes down 10%, it's dumping. Doesn't mean it's the dump of all dumps. It doesn't mean it's the pump of all pumps, but it's pumping. To say Bitcoin's not pumping is ridiculous. It's up over 1x since the low. It's pumping. That's the truth. It's pumping until it's not. If you don't consider this a pump, you consider it a joke. But, even back here in September of 23, Bitcoin was sitting at 24,897. If you were to put $10,000 into Bitcoin, Right now, I don't think it's a joke. I don't think that pump's a joke. If it's 100,000, I don't think it's a joke. If it's $1 million, I don't think it's a joke. It's pumping. Maybe it's not pumping to the artificial and unsatisfactory possibilities that you have in your own mind, but it is surely pumping. It's the same bias that we use when XRP is pumping. This pile of shit's only up 27%. It's only up 81%. XRP, it pumped 7% today, but it's not moving at all. Why is XRP not pumping? What do you mean XRP when I bought it in 23 was at 34 cents? XRP's at 60 cents in 24. They're almost the exact same time I bought it, a year earlier. It may not be pumping like everybody wants it, but XRP's not pumping because it's not ready. It hasn't satisfied the parameters that I put out there. And because I put them out there, it's not because they were my parameters. It's the parameter of the technical trader who's not going to buy it until it hits a certain part of the cycle. They're not going to buy it until it hits a certain part of clearance. Like right now, even if you wanted to buy it and you did not understand technical analysis, right now XRP, just from a technical standpoint, right? You don't know anything about the charts, but you know the relative strength of an asset. So you don't know how to calculate it, you put on the relative strength index. Seems pretty simple. Well, once it gets over 70, it's getting into overbought. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's starting to trend to an area where you got to open your eyes now. Once it gets to 80, you've got to be very, very observant of the first sign that we're rotating back. When it gets to 90 or above, it's just a matter of time before it has either a correction down to 70 so that it can stabilize and overbought for a while, or it just comes crashing down. XRP is now starting to sniff the line because it didn't take the down route. Today, if it would have took the down route to 53, XRP right now, instead of sniffing overbought, it would be down here around probably under 21, maybe down to 15. We would be in a position where it would have no choice but to have a huge reversal. Huge. That's how we would have got to 82, no questions asked. But it took this route. I even said, I'm going to show both routes, but I'm going to be pissed if it takes the up route. And it's only because I know the difference. If it takes this up route, we're screwed. It has no, at some point, the RSI catches up. And if I'm being too bold for you, I apologize, but I have not swore. I'm trying to be polite. Power of positivity. Peter Pan just sent a $50 donation, so I must be doing just fine. Thank you, Peter Pan, for the vote of confidence. And I'm not being hard on the questioners. I'm being bold for the ones who are wondering in the audience from the question asked. See, I find if I'm bold, more people understand what I'm trying to say. And when more people understand, we can make a huge, huge point together. But, see, I'm telling you, TradingView knows I'm trying to have a case study here with PAXG. And what does it do? It deletes it. For anybody who doesn't know, PAXG, I'm trying to see, because it had a rotational tug when everything was happening. See, and even this might not survive it. Look at this. Look at this right now. Like, even this in the 4-hourly is trying to catch up. It had a rotational moment where it's gonna, this looks like more of a, see, this will be even more intriguing. This looks like more of a consolidation down to dump the longs now. See, something's not right here. Julie, something's not right in the crypto market. The fact it's dumping right now when it still looks like there's meat on the bones tells me that the meat on the bones is going to be fulfilled, and then we could have a cataclysmic crash after. A cataclysmic. I mean, look at how this is taking the down route. This just, look how far into oversold this is getting in the 20 or the 45 again. This is what I mean. Like, we're starting to get to a point where the short-term assets that are actually, I mean, this looks like it's behind XRP now. I feel like I just watched this pattern. And once this got down to 14, it went from 1954 and it went all the way up to 2030. I mean, this is fascinating to watch. Peter Pan with a $10 donation, a $5 donation, and a $10 donation. Wow, Peter Pan, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hamza says crash is coming, but we'll rise like the phoenix. We'll be rising like something. That's for sure. This is fascinating now. Now this is getting fascinating. It just because of where the RSI is, maybe I'll put a personal like $500 stake in the PAXG. If it goes down to like 1950, I might just put something on this. No, I can't. I don't even know if it's got enough room to go down there. If it gets down to, well, maybe right now. You know what, Julie?
What? Are you gonna have balls now?
Maybe Julie asked if I have balls now. Maybe I do, Julie. Maybe I do. I think it'd be fascinating for the case study to see exactly from a $500 perspective at 10x how this would play out. Because right now in the 45, we're getting to a point where it's only got so much room where we're probably going to be able to dump. 30 minutes, it's going to catch up in 13 minutes. But look at this. I'm really intrigued with this now. I really am. The hourly, look how far into oversold we are. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, I think. I think for what we're, look at the 2 hourly. This is just going to get better and better. The 3 hourly. Oh, this is what I'm talking about. See how everything's towards the overbought? This isn't oversold in the same context. 4 hourly oversold. Daily time frame when this closes, maybe we'll have a reversal here. Somebody said AC/DC. I've got big balls. Big balls of fire. Or great balls of... I'm an old man. I can't remember. I turned 40, you know. Can't remember.
So old.
No. I mean, look at that. What do we think? I think this is a fascinating one to cover. In the immediate short term, this looks like, even if it's bearish, it's got to have a reversal. This is running out of space to dump. This is nice. I love watching ones like this. The only problem here is I don't have a personal stake to make it interesting. I'm going to make a personal stake, Julie. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have a personal stake in this one. I'm going to do it right now, too, just because it'll at least make me focus on it. I've been watching it long enough. I think I got a grasp of what's going on here. And I'm telling you guys, don't do it because I'm going to lose my money. Do not do it if you're watching at home. I condemn what I'm telling you. So it's going to open at about 1996 roughly on MEXC. All right. So take that from a 10x perspective. $500 or more is that play right there. Let's just keep it at that. So I just want to see what the market's going to do. I personally, I just want to see what the market's going to do. It's not like I have my life savings in it, but I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens here. And if it dumps down, I don't even care. It said the liquidity price is down at 1,806. So if it hits 1,806, man, if I fucking missed this one by a mile, I might as well just go back to the drawing board. Because where it's at, if it doesn't have a retracement before 1,806, I better just stop recording videos. You know? And I mean, look, 777. I think it's, but what do you think? What do you think with XRP, with what I've shown everybody? Ethereum. Oh, somebody asked Algo. Algo's at 20 cents. And this is, it's so crazy. I feel like PAX-G is going to take all the money, Julie. I can't help it. I feel like it's going to take the money. To my audience, I feel like it's going to take the money here. Everything else is going the opposite rotation. Everything else on my charts is the opposite rotation. Algo has a little room in the lower time frames. It did clear out some, but I mean, it looks like it's trying to create a right arm. Maybe come back up to 22 cents. But we'll see. If it gets rejected at like 22, no, it's a little bit higher than that. 22.40, if it got rejected, that could be a head and shoulders pattern. But it's still got room. The bottom line is the end of this move was up at about 30 cents. So, and for anybody who bought Algo with us on Winning Wednesdays, my God, we bought it for what, 9.8? You're already up 100%. Like I always say, you can do what you need to do. I'm not touching it because when it's in the cents, you don't understand. Like when I'm buying this stuff, cents, if I'm selling it for cent, if Cents? I didn't buy it for cents. The world told me to buy Algo when it was at $2.40, and I said I'll buy it when it's under 20. I said when it was under 20. I didn't know I was going to buy it for under. I got laughed off the stage left. But I was over there and I bought it at, under 10 cents. So we'll see what happens here, but it's pretty interesting. I'm actually pretty interested to see what happens through crypto right now. I'm just saying something don't feel right. And when something don't feel right, you got to look to see what's coming in the very near future. And it looks like we're going to have a continuation here with that initial run-up. If you want to call it a pump, if that offends you for saying a pump, we can call it a run-up. We can call it a run-up to resistance instead of a fall to support. You never want to run up to resistance. You want to fall to support and then break through resistance. So right now we're at a very, very interesting spot. And how did this all happen? Well, Tom, are you ever going to talk about the Bitcoin ETF approval? It's only been 46 minutes. So this is how we got here. SEC gives Bitcoin ETFs the green light. After a false start Tuesday, the Securities and Exchange Commission gave its approval Wednesday for some investment companies to offer spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. The regulators' highly anticipated movement is expected to make Bitcoin investing more accessible to Main Street investors without requiring them to own the digital asset directly. SEC Chair Gary Gensler made it clear in a statement on the SEC website that the agency remains wary. While we approved the listing and trading of certain spot Bitcoin ETP shares today, we did not approve or endorse Bitcoin. Investors should remain cautious about the myriad risk associated with Bitcoin and products whose value is tied to crypto, he wrote. Okay, so, and in the cookie jar, telling the people not to get any cookies while you eat them all, you smug bastard. The SEC had a deadline of January 10th to offer a decision for just one of the 11 firms that applied to offer Bitcoin's ETFs. On Wednesday, it offered approval to all 11 of them. Bitcoin, the leading cryptocurrency, has a current market cap of roughly $900 billion. It has seen volatile price swings throughout its 15-year history, most recently after hitting an all-time high of nearly 69,000 in November of 21, which I called the top of the bull market, which half of my audience left because they got mad, and I only had 1,500 people. So imagine getting kicked in the grotesques like that and realizing only about half the people are remaining. Just to realize that we grew 20 times that size because of what we accomplished since then. Being able to sell it up top, buy at a bottom, and ride it out now, it's been a beautiful thing. Where are we at now? In November 21, it fell below 17,000 during the crypto winter of 2022 and I dubbed it crypto winter. I love that term all through there. Not just 2022, we dubbed, it was bad. It was bad until about mid to late 22, early 23. And has been mostly trading north of 45,000. I'm talking about XRP. In the run-up to the SEC's decision, about an hour after the news Wednesday, the price of Bitcoin was up 0.3% to nearly 46,000, according to data on CoinMarketCap. And as we know, it went up a little bit now. After the stock market closed on Tuesday, a post on the SEC's X account falsely claimed the regulatory agency had approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products. That was quickly debunked by yada, yada, yada. So that was just the part from when we knew yesterday it happened. Even though they tried to act like, oh, no. Nothing to see here, folks. Gary Gensler came on. Nothing to see here. So here, let's go to Yahoo Finance real quick, and this will just give us a quick update. Oh, look at the turtle. At least it's a good commercial.
So a lot of questions here that you should be asking if you're interested in these.
A long list of things that investors need to be thinking about before buying into one of these products. All right, Julie, thanks so much.
What the hell?
We see Bitcoin's price dipping this morning after spiking Tuesday evening when a post on the SEC's official X account claimed that Bitcoin ETFs were approved. Chair Gary Gensler swiftly responded, saying that
When is
the
this
account
from?
was compromised.
Are they going to give us a real story here, or are they just going to give us nonsense? I was hoping that, oh, here we go. That's what I get for trying to go through Yahoo Finance.
Kaylee, let's try this one more time. What do we know? What's happening?
Well, we know that approval actually has happened this time around. This is approval of 2 necessary filings that were necessary for these products to actually do what they intended to do. One being the 19B4 filings, that is the exchanges that will list these products. The others, the S1s. Many revisions that we have seen in recent days were to those S1 filings that also had to be approved by the SEC. So that is what we know at this point. Of course, this was a highly anticipated decision. Despite the events of yesterday, the confusion around whether or not approval had happened at that point, it turned out it did not, but it is indeed happening now. These spot Bitcoin products for the first time in ETF form being approved here in the U.S. All 11 of them remain.
I'm going to just jump in here and bring in Shonali Basak, who is, of course, covering crypto as well. Shonali, what have you been hearing from the folks you've been talking to?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've had the initial approvals and we have some big issuers already coming out with statements. For example, Grayscale, one of the biggest ones, had said that they're happy to confirm that the Grayscale team has received the necessary regulatory approvals to list GBTC to the NYSE ARCA and will share a press release shortly. We expect these firms to start trading their ETFs tomorrow. So tomorrow will be a large day for these issuers.
All right, we are getting that confirmation crossing the terminal. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has been approved. Here are a few others that have also been approved. The Bitwise Bitcoin ETF has been approved. The hashtag Bitcoin ETF has also been approved. Proposals from iShares Bitcoin Trust has also been approved, and the Valkyrie Bitcoin Fund has also been approved. We can keep going through these. They're going to keep trickling in here. Van Eck, Invesco. So we're starting to get the confirmation here of all the individual ones, Shonali, about the ones that are approved. Not much of a surprise, right? I mean, we expected this to happen, and the names that we're seeing here right now are the ones that are going to be first out the gate.
All 11. And so remember, the first mover advantage is very important when it comes to the ETF world. When this happened in futures, you saw many assets flow to the first one out the gate. Now, tomorrow, what's going to be interesting is that war on fees. And remember, the reason we talk about GBTC is they have that $30 billion fund. What happens to those assets? Do they stay stable? Do they go down? Do they move up? The choices people make from here in terms of...
Tanya, I do not own Bitcoin. I prefer the altcoins, the ones that are ISO related, or IoT, which is the Internet of Things. And I think I own 12 of them. I've been transparent. We bought them together on Winning Wednesdays and FOMO Fridays. And even before that, when it was time with XRP, XLM, XDC, I have DGB, ZIL, VChain, Algo, Casper, Gala. What else am I missing? HBAR. There's a few others I want that I don't have. I have Solo. I have Corium. I have Flare. So, but continuing.
But where to go for their Bitcoin exposure will be fast.
And everything I own is up at least. XRP is probably the least pumped up right now. And it's up, I don't know right now at this moment. But I bought it at 34 cents, so, or 34.6.
But certainly, let's just take a moment here. What a historic moment for the Bitcoin industry to have this approval after so many years. It was a tough 24 hours.
Yes.
And I have been sitting here, and even when we first watched the first set of filings go up, there are a lot of questions about, how the SEC was going to do this. A lot of people couldn't access the filings right after it initially was posted. It was posted and then came down. Certainly confusing 24 hours and even last half an hour. But we're here.
We're here, and we have the headlines. We're crossing the Bloomberg terminal. Kelly Lyons, this looks like, a lot more organized this time around with all the individual headlines on the different ETFs that were filed with the SEC. What do we know about how else the SEC is going to communicate with investors about this?
Well, they very clearly have everything laid out in this filing, Romaine, in Scarlett, that is available on the SEC website right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see further statement out from the SEC in the form of potentially a press release or something from the chair, Gary Gensler himself, just given how sensitive the communication around this now is, especially so because of the events of yesterday, making it very clear what information can be trusted and what cannot be. Also knowing that this is going to raise a lot of questions that regulators may now be having to answer the idea that now that they approved this spot product in particular, now both Bitcoin futures and Bitcoin spot ETFs will be trading. Does that mean that we could see the same for other tokens out there? Could we be seeing a spot Ether ETF, a spot XRP ETF, those kinds of questions?
They always say it before it happens, folks. Could there be an XRP ETF? I didn't ask the question. Who put it out there for the public to ask?
Of questions.
Oops. Well.
And what cannot be. Also knowing that this is going to raise a lot of questions that regulators may now be having to answer. The idea that now that they approved this spot product in particular, now both Bitcoin futures and Bitcoin spot ETFs will be trading. Does that mean that we could see the same for other tokens out there? Could we be seeing a spot Ether ETF, a spot XRP ETF, those kinds?
So, let me ask you a question. With this happening, what do you think is going to happen with the XRP lawsuit? All bullshit, right? How convenient that we have to wait until the end of April after all of this plays out. And how big of a kick in the Groduskies, excuse me. You know, in the old below the belt, if they gave you an XRP ETF, while just putting them through the ringer for what? Since December of 2020, for over 3 years. I told everybody, this is all a show. I said it in 2021, I'll say it again. In 2028, if you follow the plan that we're laying out here, and it doesn't cost anything, I haven't charged a red cent for anything I've ever given. I am very gracious from all the generosity that's been shown my way throughout the years. Even tonight, the ones who pay it forward. It's all I've ever asked. That's why I don't charge for any of my information, because I don't think that's where the value is. I think the value is there's enough good people that'll pay it forward, that'll join Tom's army, and if I have enough of an audience, even through YouTube ad revenue from when YouTube shows stuff, I get revenue. The only problem is I don't get enough viewers to where it would be able to make a huge difference. Now, I'm not saying the $800 or $900 a month isn't something, but imagine if I had 2 or 3, if I had 2,000 views per video instead of 1, you can see the difference. If I had 4,000 views per video, you could see the difference. Now, instead of $800, you're talking $1,600 or $2,000 a month in revenue and ad revenue. That's a big difference. You know, but we're growing. We're growing. That's why the likes, the shares, you know, the word of mouth is huge. I don't pay for any of my info to get put out there either. So this has all been organic. So I don't know how many people can say that have an audience my size, but I've not put a single cent into this as far as advertising. So I'm actually pretty proud of that. So I know that I have a lot more revenue based on the donations from the very generous ones than most communities could probably ever wish for. And tonight's been a perfect example. But that's the world we live in. You can either be a giver or a taker, and I prefer to be a giver. 2 hourly. Man, oh man. You can't even really show this chart now. You really have to go with this one because we're stuck in between. We had the bull flag for this part of the... Tanya, you are? What do you mean? You're part of Tom's army. Do you realize if only 1% of my audience was in Tom's army, it would make the whole difference? That's 1,600 people if it was only 1%. Or what is it? Not 16. 100. No, wait a minute. 10% of the people. If 10% of the people were in it, it would make a huge difference. But as it is, I think we have about 1% maybe. 1.3%. Not a huge ratio, but we have some very loyal members who are in it, including yourself, Tanya. So I thank you so much for that. But XRP in the 2 hourly, it's in the overbought. And just remember, we broke out of the short-term pattern. So what do I always tell you? Typically, if you want the continuation, it should come back down to 577. And then we'll see. We'll take our chances at 62. 62 should not be the line in the sand. I would think that rising channel resistance would be more of a line in the sand. Bandito 420, thank you for the $19.99 donation. Perfect example of the pay it forward mentality. Thank you so much for that. I got to read your comment. It went away so quick. I caught it at the end. So really, you know, in this hour, what have we learned? Patience. It's the best thing I can tell you, patience. Look at PAX G. Remember I put in the $500 order at $19.95? Now it's at $2,003, just that quick. And that was a 10x trade, so it might have only moved $8, but it moved $80 for me. So, you know, that's what I mean. Don't be afraid of what you're doing. And if it goes down, it goes down. But it seemed like a sound point, didn't it, Julie? Sound point. I always say this to Julie, and she's not even paying attention or looking, but I always act like she's listening. And then even if I'm having a conversation in the future, I'll say, well, Julie, you agreed with me, and even though I lost all my money, no. But I don't know, something I'll continue to say it. Something don't smell right and something don't feel right. And when it don't feel right, smell right, or look right to me, I don't know. This doesn't seem right to me. I feel like the money's trying to flow into here secretly. It dumped out for a reason. And that would be interesting. That would be interesting indeed. I don't even know what else to talk about. I think I covered everything. Altcoins will dip off, but less on the stable coins and ISO 20022. I mean, honestly, yeah, I agree with that. MC Prosperity. I agree with that. But the move's probably not done yet. I know it sounds crazy, but for Bitcoin, it's probably not done yet. And we couldn't even speculate that it's done yet until we were to break this formation. Now, at some point, this is going to come down hard. And if it doesn't bust out of this formation, then your technical retracement should be to about 40,500. And that would be good. But as it is, with all the positive buzz, I find it hard to believe when the Asian markets come on tonight, 11 o'clock roughly, I always post it about. That's where I always look at it personally, around 11 o'clock for the overseas. Once they get to buy, like they're waking up and they see what's going on, you don't think they're going to start buying some of this? Especially if it's looking red over here. I don't know. I find it hard to believe they're going to dump out. I could see a lot of buzz coming in. So, but we'll keep watching it from the relative strength perspective as well. That's what I'm thinking, Cleo. I'm thinking there's got to be some kind of pump that would pull in the rest of the people who are like, you know, I'm not going to buy it until it starts running up a little bit. And then they start catching it as it's at the last spot of the run up. And then they're like, oh, crap. It just seems like it. Ethereum's up $6 right now to 2,590 or 0.2%. I need to cover Ethereum more just because I like to. But 3 hourly, look how overbought it is now. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. 4 hourly overbought. Getting into the higher overbought areas. Daily, you know, you make it for what it is. Weekly overbought, daily overbought, 4 hourly. Lower time frames are starting to put in their data's being counted. Remember, for the weekly, it's not counted. The weekly, it hasn't counted yet because this candle doesn't close for 3 days and 23 hours. The daily, it counted, but now the new daily candle, we'll see what happens. And now in these lower time frames, they're starting to put in a new set of data that the daily and the weekly don't have yet available to it. That's why this is a lagging indicator, and you have to look at it from the lower to the higher. The lower are going to tell you where the higher is going. Vice versa. The hourly, way in the overbought. 45, 30. Look at this. So this is dumping eventually. It's got no choice. It doesn't mean that it can't keep railing. It doesn't mean that it can't have a great push up here still and come up to who knows. But the higher it goes, the more overextended it is. And the more overextended it is, the bigger slingshot down you'll have. Just like the more oversold you are, the more resources you dump with the availability of people who want it, the higher of a springboard you're going to have. So I think I'm going to call it at that. I think I've done my due diligence here. I think we've had a fantastic live. If you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. If you're old here and you appreciate what I do, make sure you hit that like button and share this on social media. If you're an old viewer, not like old age. If you're an old timer in my audience, if you're an OG, how about that? I'm the old man in the audience. But Other than that, if you're looking to trade XRP or your favorite crypto, video description below. It's the ways that I do it. If you want a futures trade, spot trade, it's all the exchanges you see me do. The way I did it today was on MEXC, and that's on there as well. So make sure about if you want to do that. And then the last thing is DG. I know I'm not in the sense old. I'm only 40. I'm not 75. I'm not 65. I don't even consider 65 old. I think you have to be over 70 to be old. Not even old, but older. Like, who am I to say? My grandpa's 89. He's still kicking, still driving, still goes to the casino to play Texas Hold'em. So, you know. Do you have friend code for MEXC? Yes. If you guys, when I tell you to go to the video description below, if you just click on that, that'll link up to my stuff. That's my code. You know, that's like, if you do that, I get recognition at least. Might be small recognition, but it's something. And then if I do, because they've invited me to copy trade for the last 2 months, but they wait for you to build success within your own trading. And I've had a lot of success on MEXC. I just never took them up on their offer. But there has been, I think, 25 or 30 people now in the last couple months that have signed up through my link. Not everybody's deposited money, but I know of enough people that likely sign up to futures or spot that could probably benefit from seeing some of the stuff I do in real time. So that opportunity will be there as well. That doesn't cost anybody anything. That's just if I decide to do it. And I've had some positive feedback, but don't come to me and say, Tom, when is our next futures trade? I don't know. And if you're in it, I don't even care if we lose money, because if we lose money, that's part of the process sometimes. I don't go into anything expecting to lose money. Let's just be clear. But sometimes you're going to lose money. I don't deal with stop losses either. So if you're going to futures trade with me, you have to do your own stop loss. If I buy something, I expect it to do what it's going to do before this move is complete. Even if it dumps down or rises up, and I don't like to go short. So if you're expecting something to go short, I'm not going to be in your cup of tea. I'm not a short person. I like to go long. I can go short. My version of going short is saving money on a buy-in. I know, MC. That's exactly it. It was only the approvable. What happens when it goes online? That's the exact thing that is the unknown right now. But damn, I think we're in a good spot. I think we're in a good spot, Julie. I think personally we're placed in a good spot. To the audience, I think we're in a good spot. We were so far ahead of all of this when we were accumulating into our stuff. When everybody asks me now if they should buy, it's so far above where we bought in that it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, you buy right here. But in the grand scheme, XRP is only at 59 cents. In 2021, when people were pissed when I told them to sell, it was $1.66. 10,000 tokens was worth $16,600 when we sold. It's only worth $5,982 right now. Big difference. Big difference. Big bear difference. So, have a blessed night, everybody. I appreciate all of you, seriously. And everybody says, Tom, what's your dedication to XRP besides having the tokens and besides what I do every single day? I committed to not cut my hair at all. What's it been, Julie? About 6 months now?
It's been a while.
Since I got hurt, remember July 4th? I think Julie cut my hair mid-July. And I said back then I would not cut my hair until XRP hit $1. And I said it's going to be maybe down to my nipples, down to my back. But it's going to be pretty long. And I think we're starting to see how long. And it's only been 6 months now. But we're going to see exactly how long this goes. But right now, I'm telling you right now, I'm just glad my hair looks like this at 40, I'll be honest. My dad's hair thinned, and my brother's is already thinning, and he's 2 years younger than me. My hair is like, you know what, Tom? You can't see out of your left eye, so you got beautiful hair you can't even see. But it's there. You can touch it. So that's how long. And we're going to see how long it takes, because that's getting pretty long. My goatee is getting pretty long, too, actually. When was the last time my goatee was this long, Julie? It has been a while. Yeah, it's definitely getting long. But that's, but then I said, what if I don't cut it until we get to all-time highs? And Julie said I should do it, didn't you, Julie? Would you really be behind it, Julie, if I didn't cut my hair until all-time highs? Julie, we haven't received, do you know when all-time highs was hit in XRP? 2018 in January. It's been 6 years. I've only been going 6 months. Could you imagine if I don't cut my hair until we hit all-time highs again? I'm going to be a... But that could be 2028, Julie. Although it is getting pretty interesting. My hair's getting so long now. It's almost like when we went to California, remember? So we'll see. But thank you, everybody. Thank you all so much. I appreciate the back and forth. It certainly makes it worth it each and every day. And, you know, we'll see what happens here going forward. But thank you all so much for the dedication. I appreciate you listening to me. Sell 5 foot of it. Hey, I might be able to soon. I can't believe there's 130 people here still. It's awesome. But have a blessed night, everybody. I enjoyed this hour and 10 minutes. I really did. Crypto Screws, make sure you watch him as well. He's over here. He covers Sologenic, everything on the XRP Ledger. But he's getting close to that 1,000 subscribers. We could definitely do a push it for him. So have a good one, everybody. Wait a minute. DGB. I almost forgot my baby. DGB, with this push up right now, it's one of two things. You get rejected at the 200 day. Right now where we're at 884, or we come up to that 948, which it almost seems like that's what we'd want to do if this is a head and shoulders pattern. But now we really don't have to just say, oh, it's that short pattern. Like I say, don't be married to it. Now we can actually see what this is in. That was our speculative when we were going to have the breakout, and it played out true. But now we have the overall pattern that we now have to account for. And it could get a little dicey here, so that's basically your support line right now. And if you break that, then you know you're coming through. It's a little more tricky, though, for the... that's tricky. It's a tricky one. Something like that. That's what we formed right now. So if you're in DGB, if you're looking at DGB, if we do break out past the 200, it's either going to be here at the top of the formation that we would look to get that rejection. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm seeing. 4 hourly, it's starting to come up, and it's trending very quickly up. Daily looks pretty good still, though. A lot of room. Weekly leaves some to be desired, but it's in a stationary point for a continuation bounce. So it's going to be very interesting. If we ride the 20-day up, we've still got a lot of room here for DGB. If we lose the 20-day and start breaking down, well, then it tells another story. But as you can see here, if we just expand this pattern out, it's almost like, how far does it go? Well, you try to meet both sides, and it gives you doesn't that make it a little bit easier to see what DGB is doing? Now you go back to the daily, and now you can see exactly what we're in. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Take a picture, and, you know, they say it lasts longer, but really this is on video, so that lasts